Obviously, everyone was so impressed that we forgot to applaud this film. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am very impressed, and I would love to hear from the audience their feedback too. But first, I will place a few questions, and the audience is very welcome to proceed with own questions too. Bear wants to start first.
Yes, I wanted to know if...
Can you hear her well enough?
I can speak louder.
Okay.
So I wanted to know if the story is based on any real recorded historical events, like were there actual witch trials in the area where it was filmed, and also are there recorded indigenous rituals that correlate to what we saw in the film?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And yeah, actually the film is inspired in a real trial that happened in this area in Chiloé in 1880 that basically was like the Chilean state against this organization called La Recta Provincia that was this kind of parallel state inside the island, and in a way there was a trial to in a way try to erase the power of this organization in this place. Of course, it was not a trial against sorcery. It was because of illegal association was the figure, but in a way everyone understood that it was a political trial. And there's all the kind of the records of this of the court, and part of that was part of the inspiration of the context of the political context to write the script, apart from collecting stories about what happened there with this organization. But yeah, actually it's a real events or real story, but inspired. For example, in it.
How did you find out about Recta Provincia, and how are you connected with the island?
I knew through my grandmother. My grandmother is from Chiloé. He grew up there in Castro, that is the capital, like all his life, and I have kind of relatives from there. But basically my grandmother that then after went to the capital. So I knew about this organization and this historical kind of enigmatic case that happened there. And I grew up with that. And after, when I became making films, in a way, I all the time had the idea of, in one moment, to make something about this, and start try to go beyond folk, try to go beyond folkloric approach to this thing that it's like the basic approach, and try to understand more about the worldview, but also about this kind of political context that it's. Or political resistance that is associated with this practice. So that was kind of the connection also.
Thank you. And why did you choose exactly this form, which may be called witch historian, but I would prefer to say a magician historian kind of film, which is always negatively connotated, whereas magician is has a positive component too. Why did you decide to use this form?
Yeah, basically for me it was really interesting because usually witchcraft and sorcery as a concept is used, of course, as a negative or pejorative way to underline certain practice, of certain communities or whatever, and to put them in a way in a kind of dark side. But that's why it's really important to understand the word and to put it there and to try to understand it more as a way of discovery, of self-discovery, of resistance, of empowerment, of this kind of other things that of freedom. I think there's something about sorcery, basically in this area, that for me was really interesting to understand. That was kind of a rebellion also, in a way of how to understand the state and the country, the territory. And that's why the idea of working with this, but not as a horror thing, but more as something that you can embrace in a way.
You have also mentioned that you are teaching or you are occupied with academical work in the field of anthropology in film. Did the university occupation come first or the film? Or basically at the same
Yeah.
point, when did your interest for this area start to develop?
Yeah, so basically it's interesting because the whole research of the film was part of a thesis of a master program in anthropology in Manchester. So it had a lot of ethnographic approach of writing, more theoretical, and it was interesting to make the path from this theoretical approach in a way to a story and an image and a film, and that was in a way it was really organic, but and also challenging, like to.
Still, it is
pass.
interesting that it was a colonial country where you did your master thesis and were able to go back to such an important old topic. Margareta?
Yeah, I would like to know, how did you get all these details about their rituals?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a long process of research. I would say it was like 3 years of going there, having a lot of kind of time there, spending time there, connected with people that were in a way part of knew about this, so they in a way were connected to this. It's interesting because the whole rituals of La Recta Provincia is not totally connected, of course, with the Huilliche community there that have their own traditions. The Recta Provincia is kind of a thing that has its own really characteristic, particular thing that you can find anywhere else in Chile, and it's part of the syncretism there. And that, and the only way I think for a lot of the rituals appear there were part of the research, stories, practices. Some of them also have kind of variations because we didn't want to put everything there, like a kind of also there's part of fiction in some areas, but most of them are part of the things that you hear, are part of the story of the island. And when you are there, it's really organic. And when we showed the film there, in a way, you could feel that also.
How did you cast? According to me, Rosa has been brilliantly casted, and this. It's interesting for me how you did the casting, or was it just a luck from above?
Yeah. No, Rosa, it's we made a local casting for her character. For me, it was important that some of the cast were part of the territory. She's not exactly from Chiloé, but from Yanquihue, that it's close to that, and also it's a really kind of a German colonized area, even more than Chiloé. Chiloé is not like super well known for the German colony there. It's more in the continent, but it was part of this there, and she sent a video for being part of an extra in the film, like part of like someone to appear in the film only because we made an open call, and but she had something kind of magnetic, an energy, and also was interesting because part of her history was in a way connected to Rosa. It in a way resembled something there because she's part of a community there, but it was grown up in a kind of also in a German college there. So it was something that was in a way connected and was interesting, like to make this mirroring between the fiction and also her own story.
How good do those people or those groups live together nowadays, about 140 years later?
Well, in Chiloé is particular because, well, as I would said, in Chiloé, like I would say like the Huilliche tradition is now in a moment of reconnection, of rediscovery, of because it was really like strong, the process of disconnection because of the Spanish there, of course, and more than in the continent. And it's a moment of recovering language, recovering culture. I would say, but of course there's kind of conflicts between that and the state. Not as in Araucanía, that it's like the most kind of, I don't know what's a political intense area where now the kind of conflict. But of course there's a thing about the recognition that is happening there, and And as I said, as a German colony, because it didn't develop. It was a kind of a failure, the German colony in Chiloé. It didn't work. You know, they took a lot of Germans, and most of them, when in this second wave of settlers that went to Chiloé, it didn't work because it was so hostile, and of course it was so difficult. So there are few of them in the north of the island, but most of them, and that was really successful, was in the continent. Right now, really close, like 50 kilometers from there, 100 kilometers. And nowadays, the German colony in Chile is, well, it's big and it's powerful, and it's part of the economical elite and cultural elite in Chile, of course, yeah.
And how difficult was it for you to write and form Rosa's character? You are also writing your scripts. Mm-hmm. She is not a saint and not a savage, somewhere in between. It is not easy to create such figures, neither in literature nor in cinema.
Yeah, it was interesting, and Valentina, that is the main actress, was really important for that. And also Aurora, that is the woman that plays like the witch there, that appears, like the old woman there, that it's a Nediel, that it's a kind of a well-known figure of the witch culture there. Because of course, from my perspective as a white man, from like a son of immigrants from Britain in this case, of course there was not kind of an approach so organic, and for me it was so important like to open to understand an experience like that from the stories of Nediel and also of Rosa, that put a lot of her in the character. So I would say that in the script it was really kind of, I didn't feel it was so organic, it was more kind of stereotype. And I think she gave, in a way, for me, a lot of complexity to the character through her own story and interpretation and ambiguity.
How difficult was it to do this film? Or who did support this film especially well?
It was challenging, of course, to make a film there in terms of production, in terms of the place. But I would say for me it seems more difficult than it was in terms of the process. For me it was kind of a really kind of a nice process of starting with an idea and a whole research process that took a long time. Meanwhile, the funds for the film were kind of in, and it was a really incredible team and professional team. So in a way, it was not so difficult, and we have the good partner. So for me, it was really kind of straightforward in a way.
And how long did you need for the film, from beginning to write the script until the last editing?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And what was the biggest challenge of all during these 5 years?
No, I would say that to make a film like this would be more kind of trying to be honest and trying to be open and trying to be not... usually when you make a film like establishing in a place that is not your place, that you have connections of course, but you're not from that place. Of course there are a lot of things about positioning and where you are positioned yourself and how to see that and not exoticizing with these kind of topics. And from my point of view, the only way to do that is with time and to openness and kind of trying to be empathic with what is happening there. And that, of course, was challenging because it was something, it was kind of really, it's a complexity of talking about others in a way that it's not kind of, I don't know.
And the weather conditions were interesting too. You must have chosen exactly the right season for all these heavy rains on screen.
Yeah. Basically, we shot the film in winter, so we were looking for that, and it's not difficult to find that in Chiloé. Chiloé is like a little bit like this, so we have the opportunity to make this kind of gloomy or Yeah, this kind of a gray atmosphere that was part of the ambiguity, also of the practice of sorcery there and of the culture. So yeah, was part of the.
Why is colonialism still so important?
Because it's happening. Because it's happening, still happening, and of course it's part of a process that it's. So now in Chile we are living, for example, a really complex and difficult constitutional process that has been a lot about kind of how to deal with the wounds of colonialism in the culture, and we're not doing so great about it because, of course, it's a country with a lot of nations and different worlds there, but there's a problem about recognition, and you can understand that from a political level, but also in terms of knowledge, how you create knowledge and affect, and everything is in a way crossed by the colonialism because it was a country that was built from that project. So.
And what is your relationship with Christian religion?
With Christian religion.
Christianity has obviously been very helpful throughout the hundreds of years, but sometimes it did some harm, as we see also in your film.
Yeah, sure. I think it's.
That's the background of my question.
Yeah. Because I was raised Catholic, but I'm not Catholic or in any way. But of course, it's something that it's. Yeah, usually I find that attractive to get inside these layers that are not so tangible, but are all the time happening. You know, you can say, no, it's something about the past, or it's something that we have overcome, but it's not like this. You know, we're just building a constitution that is really, in a way, it's kind of being built or written through this perspective, and that's really problematic in a kind of in the idea of a modern state. So it are still there and kind of ghosts of the colonial process also. That's part is a huge part. That was something.
Yes, please.
But coming back to that, I would like to know, how is the population of the villages? Are they growing or are they declining in number?
Well, in particular in Chiloé, I think it's interesting because it's been a process also of self-recognition. So more than, of course, there was a lot of killings and that have happened, and also there's a moment when a lot of people that didn't knew that they were part of the Huichu culture are kind of getting inside communities, of being part of it, or being recognized as part of that. And Chiloé, well, Chiloé it's a whole world in that thing because, you know, Chiloé was the last part of Chile that became part of Chile as a republic, independent republic. They were really loyal to the King of Spain until the last.
When did it become part of Chile?
Chile was independent in 1810. But they say that still in 1950 there were people like talking. 1850 they were calling like a loyalty to the King of Spain. So that's also because it's an island, and of course the process was difficult, and the Chilean state was sometimes more oppressive than was the Spanish there. So it's a really interesting. We became a republic, but in a way the republic also was as violent as the colonial process before with the Spanish. So in a way it's intriguing, and everything is really kind of interweave, you know, there between the Christianity, Catholic, sorcery, etc. I think lights are coming down.
They are asking us to leave probably. Do you still have any questions we can persist?
I have lots of questions.
Yes, please, at the back.
I will have one question about the music, about the original songs. Did they go through some kind of transformations, or did you take this original songs from this island as they are?
No, actually the songs were, the lyrics and the melodies were composed by Aurora, that it's the the old lady that it's kind of this witch that helps Rosa. She's a musician, so in a way she was part of the process of composing this score, and that was really beautiful in a way, because we wanted to create also, as I said, there's something that, and that's really kind of difficult to explain, but it's like, of course, there's the Huilliche culture that have their own traditions, but of course we wanted also like to get inside this recta provincia culture that's more specific, and it's more kind of another group that is inspired with this, but has elements from other parts, and a lot of that also is kind of occult. Of course, it's kind of hidden, so you can access some things, but there are a lot of things that you can't access there. But also that gives you a space also to create and to create, and there Nediel, that she was really important there. She composed the lyrics and also like the melodies and everything. She was really powerful in that.
What is the next film you're working on?
I'm writing and researching, well, actually about the Nazis in Chile.
Great.
Yeah, really happy.
You can never have enough films about Nazis. Or nowadays,
really
the newest elections, as we see, to the left and to the right, and not only Argentina, Europe. So unfortunately, we cannot get rid of that topic at all. And the other one is war.
But it's an interesting story that during the Third Reich here, there was the first country in the whole Latin America where they created the German the German Nazi Party was in Chile. Because of the German colony, it was really strategic. So it's impressive, like the whole spy thing that happened there, espionage and things.
I believe we would love to see that film when you're ready. I hope you don't need another 5 years, but we will wait if necessary.
10 years, 10 years, I think.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here and enjoying this amazing film with us. And thank you for having done that film and being here our guest.
No, thank you for being here. Thank you.